In 1970, the Prime Minister Edward Heath announced that the government would no longer support the lame duck industries of Britain and these would be allowed to collapse. At the time, United Clyde Shipyards was reporting losses of £67 million and was considered to be one of these lame ducks. As a result, a government loan of £6 million was rejected, which would have resulted in 6,000 job losses, until a union steward named Jimmy Reid confronted Mr Heath head-on by travelling to number 10 Downing Street. Jimmy Reid came back to Glasgow only to report, "We get the impression that we were talking to a man who did not know what a dole queue was." Due to this lack of trust, Jimmy Reid organised a new kind of protest dubbed a work-in. The premise was simple: show why you're needed by doing what you do best.
Like Jimmy, I was an engineer by profession. I was an engineer and draftsman, and then I became a full-time trade union bureaucrat. Jimmy and I helped to found Scottish Left Review, which is mainly an online magazine, arguing about a new radical politics for Scotland. He was a talker. You could hardly get a word in edgeways. And he was a self-educated intellectual and thinker from a working class family in Govan. Quite a remarkable man. What you've got to remember is, here in the Clyde, that at the beginning of the 20th century, something like over a quarter of the ships in the world were built in the Clyde. And even after the Second World War, in the 1940s, 10% of ships were still being built in the Clyde. But what happened here is that the employers weren't reinvesting in machinery, new yards, new systems, which they were doing in places like Germany and other countries in Europe and in Asia. And there was massive job losses and a great deal of unemployment, which affected industrial relations. What happened is that they refused UCS a loan of £6 million. Rather than have a strike or a sit-in, they devised, and mainly Jimmy, this idea of working, that they would continue to work. And this caught not just the imagination of workers and people in Britain, but throughout the world. And they won. It wasn't just Jimmy, but all the workers' solidarity, they won after a 16-month strike. And today, we've still got shipbuilding in the Clyde, and it's because of that we still have it. If you read his victorial address, but I remember my brother was living in Canada, and the New York Times, middle page, the two middle pages of the New York Times reproduced his victorial address, word for word, and that's how good he was with words. And he was quite fearless in what he said.
To the students, I address this appeal: reject these attitudes, reject the values and false morality that underline these attitudes. A rat race is for rats. We are not rats, we are human beings. Reject the insidious pressures in society that would blunt your critical faculties to all that is happening around you, that would caution silence in the face of injustice, lest you jeopardise your chances of promotion and self-advancement. It entails the loss of your dignity and human spirit. This is how it starts, and before you know where you are a fully paid up member of the rat pack. The price is too high, or as Christ puts it, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world only to suffer the loss of his soul?
Yes, yes, you see, yes.
Sadly, Jimmy Reid passed away on August 10th, 2010 after retiring to Rothesay on the Isle of Bute. Having the misfortune of suffering from ill health for a number of years, he suffered a brain hemorrhage. He is survived by his wife Joan and their 3 daughters. Jimmy Reid's legacy will live on through Scotland's shipyards, and the rat race will long be rejected.
No more dog drums. A man came here from London town. Half an hour he looked around. He said, close the shipyard down. Gave me the dog drums. Yes, yes, you see, yes. Tell them on the radio, tell them on the press. I want my job.